back, everyone. My name is Patrick. You're watching the Oilers Rundown. As you can see, back in the home studio here, returned home to Edmonton yesterday. It was a great trip, but looking forward to an exciting next couple weeks here. The Edmonton Oilers, well, we knew this summer was going to be interesting for them, but with the way things went down in the Stanley Cup Finals, the year that Stuart Skinner had, it's made it a lot more interesting than I think any of us thought it was going to be. We're going to have the Connor McDavid intrigue with his upcoming contract extension, whether it's going to be 3 years, 5 years, 8 years. We got Evan Bouchard coming up. It looks like Bouchard is going to do a long-term deal, but ultimately, who knows? We have the Trent Frederick extension on the horizon here, but of course, the big talk lately has been what are the Edmonton Oilers going to do in goal, and we know the free agent crop for goaltenders is not looking too great. Jake Allen is considered the top free agent goaltender available, and I don't have anything personal against Jake Allen. He's probably a fine tandem goaltender, but I don't know if he's the solution that I want the Edmonton Oilers to be going for here. And you know, with him being the top free agent goalie available, the price tag is going to be very, very high. And the Oilers, of course, very aware of that fact, which is why Elliot Friedman mentioned on the 32 Thoughts podcast that he thinks the Edmonton Oilers will go the trade route to solve their goaltending issues, whether it's going to be Stuart Skinner moving out, Calvin Pickard moving out. The Oilers have to make a decision here on how big of a goaltender they're going to go for. We know earlier in the year the Oilers did talk to the Boston Bruins about Jeremy Swayman. Whether they would revisit that, we'll have to wait and see here. Swayman is an $8.25 million goaltender, so that will not be easy under any circumstances for the Edmonton Oilers to fit in here. I don't see Boston as a team that would retain anything on Jeremy Swayman, so the Oilers would have to find some way through multiple contracts going out the door to see if they could even remotely find a way to make that work. It's very, very unlikely that the Oilers would land Jeremy Swayman. John Gibson is, of course, the goaltender that a lot of people are talking about right now. Insider David Pagnotta reiterated again yesterday that John Gibson is willing to waive his no trade to come to the Edmonton Oilers, and we know that John Gibson does not want to be in a tandem with Stuart Skinner. I don't know if his stance on that has changed, but the Oilers, I think, depending on what goaltender they get, would like to still have Stuart Skinner as somebody there to lean back on. I mean, Calvin Pickard played excellent as a backup last year, and Calvin Pickard at 1 year, $1 million, that's really the ideal backup goaltender contract, but it all really depends who the Oilers can get as their number one, and as I've said, the free agent crop is just not really there. The trade route, there's nobody overly exciting that I think is realistic for the Edmonton Oilers, so whoever they decide on, it's going to cause some friction here at Edmonton. There's going to be a lot of people for it, a lot of people against it, so I don't see any real universal solution here that the Edmonton Oilers can go out and get and make everybody happy. So I don't think the Edmonton Oilers are going to wait until after July 1st to figure out their goaltending situation. And with Elliot Friedman mentioning that the trade route is most likely, I think this does get solved before July 1st. So the Oilers know exactly how much money they have to spend going into July 1st. So like I said, it's going to be interesting here. A free agent that the Edmonton Oilers may be bringing back, according to Elliot Friedman, is Kasperi Kapanen. They picked up Kapanen on waivers from the St. Louis Blues earlier in the year. He brought some timely scoring, some speed. He fit into the locker room really well. I know him and Leon Draisaitl were quite close, so bringing back Kasperi Kapanen on a cheap one-year deal I think would make some sense for the Edmonton Oilers as long as the money is right. Elliot Friedman also mentioned that Viktor Arvidsson and the Edmonton Oilers are in agreement. Both camps know that a fresh start is best for everyone involved. Viktor Arvidsson does have the no move, but like I said, both camps are willing to have a new fresh start here. Arvidsson, going back to last year's trade deadline, I think was open to a deal. The Oilers spent $3 million on Jeff Skinner, $4 million on Viktor Arvidsson at last year's free agent frenzy. Both guys were in and out of the lineup for the Oilers in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and obviously you just can't have that. Jeff Skinner, we know, isn't coming back, unless, of course, the Oilers were moving out Chris Knobloch and he felt he might get more of an opportunity under a different coach, but Chris Knobloch isn't going anywhere. We may see some changes with his assistant coaches. Mark Stewart, Glenn Gulletson, and Paul Coffey are all up contract-wise. I imagine Paul Coffey is brought back, but maybe Mark Stewart or Glenn Gulletson may be on the way out the door. Glenn Gulletson has been rumored for the Dallas Stars head coaching job, so we'll see what happens there. But going back to the goaltending here, Frank Saravalli mentioning on the DFO rundown that he believes the Oilers are willing to go with either a tandem goalie or bringing in a new number one goalie. But like I said, there's not a lot of number one goaltenders that are out there and available. Possibly Jeremy Swayman. Ilya Sorokin is a name that I keep hearing coming up, but I don't think he's out there. Jeremy Swayman, like I said, is really the only guy that fits that bill, and in his first real chance as a number one goaltender last year with Boston, it didn't go too incredibly well. So we'll see how it goes here, guys. I think at the end of the day, it's probably going to be a tandem goaltender for the Edmonton Oilers. There's names out there: Jake Allen, John Gibson, Jeremy Swayman, a few other options, but none of them really groundbreaking options here for the Edmonton Oilers. And you just have to think the Oilers going back to the trade deadline there were willing to go all in on Mikko Rantanen, offer him a brand new big deal at, it was believed, or I think around $14 million per season. How the Oilers were going to make that work, we don't exactly know. Obviously, guys like Evander Kane, Viktor Arvidsson, Adam Henrique, possibly even Matthias Janmark could have cleared cap space that way, but you just never know. Maybe the Edmonton Oilers have something else up their sleeve. That's all for now, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the current predicaments here for the Edmonton Oilers. Who would you target as a goaltender? Is there a perfect fit that you can see out there? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If this is your first visit to the channel and you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing for all the latest Oilers content. You've been watching the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for being a fan.